but I've never seen a discrepancy like this. She is supposed to have 4 million Instagram followers. We're also supposed to believe that business is so good and they're doing so well. She sold almost 1 million jars of jam. Why would the staff be turning over the way that it is? Why would Meghan and Harry go out there and say, you can have dinner with us for $100,000? Hey guys, welcome back to RHR Jen. I'm so glad you're here. Guys, I have such a good show for you today. I have done some major number crunching, and I want to show you something that's going to break your brain as it has mine. If you're new here, I'm Jen. Make sure you're subscribed, hit the thumbs up, leave me comments, as all of those helps YouTube to recommend my videos. I sincerely appreciate it. I'm going to dive right on in. So as we know, this story with Meghan and the inventory has just completely riveted me. I can't stop thinking about it. I keep learning more and more about it. It seems to be taking over the internet as well. A lot of people reporting on this and how crazy this business model is. Well, things just got crazier. I found something I want to show you, and I've done some digging, and you're going to want to take a look at this. Okay. First, I want to give a shout out to Saint Meghan Markle. That's the Reddit group. Now, they have done an excellent job of highlighting. They're the first ones to pull all the inventory that they found. They seem to have found just sitting there before Meghan hit it. So well done, you guys. I've done a video on that. You can go find that. Well, now they've found some website data for As Ever. So I'm going to show you that, and I'm going to walk us through that. But it kind of led me into a rabbit hole, and I found something big. And I really want to talk about it with you because I think it's just going to show you, I don't know how else to say it, how full of crap Meghan is on all of this. It doesn't make any sense. The things that she's saying make no sense. And that's not anything new for her. But I'm telling you, it seems to be the harder that she is plummeting, the harder she is spinning these lies. And so I just need you to get your eyeballs on this. Shout out to Kiwi Love who posted this. Kiwi Love is showing that, okay, because of these numbers, these crazy numbers we're seeing with Meghan and this inventory, as we've all talked about at length, this inventory that just seems to be sitting there, and they're perishable items. So again, it makes less than no sense. Okay, well, because of that, and because of that information coming out, we're seeing more clapbacks, if you will. If you go back and watch my yesterday video, I talk about how Meghan is starting, seemingly, to clap back through media, including this Daily Mail piece saying Meghan has sold almost 1 million jars of jam. Okay, let's talk about that. So the harder people are digging and finding the inconsistencies, the more Meghan wants us to look over here. Just take her at her word, Meghan or her source. And I'm going to slap a big fat allegedly, but this is according to these publications that are posting these sources saying that she sold nearly 1 million jars of jam. And a reminder, she herself mentioned the million mark was the Bloomberg interview. She talked about having to order 1 million jars and 1 million lids. Okay. Here we go. Buckle up. So again, whoever Kiwi Love is, found that As Ever's website, okay, they went on and they found there's a website called SimilarWeb. And if you've never used SimilarWeb, I've pulled them and I'll show you exactly what they show. But you can do searches. You have to sign up for it, and I did. And you can do searches on websites, and they'll tell you things like how long a customer was on there, clicks, bounce rate. If you haven't heard, I'm going to talk about bounce rate in this one. If you haven't heard of bounce rate is when somebody clicks on your website, they take a look, but they click no further than the main page. They basically bounce in, bounce back out. They don't click anything. They look for a second, they bounce back out. They don't buy anything. So Kiwi Love is pointing out that the average As Ever website visitor spent less than 2 minutes on the website and rarely went beyond the homepage. So if you have no other data, and I'm going to show you some data, but if you have no other data, just think about that. They're alleging that she has sold roughly nearly 1 million jars of jam. The website traffic, and she just sells through websites. Yes, occasionally we have seen a pop-up at the Godmother's bookstore, but we've seen the stacks there. It's a couple of jars here and there. That does not, I'm going to say that it's all through the website. It's mostly through the website. It doesn't make any sense. These numbers make no sense with the numbers she's trying to get us to believe. This website is estimating that maybe based on the traffic, she made maybe $1,800 profit coming out of mostly the United States and some out of the United Kingdom, a couple Canadians, a couple in Germany. There you go. Okay, so again, just at face value, that makes no sense with the stuff that Meghan is trying to peddle. So I'm just showing you the post. Again, shout out to Kiwi Love for posting this. I think that's brilliant. And I loved where they were going with this. Well, I dove even further, and I want to show you what I found because, again, my brain, you can tell, I'm just like, it's just unbelievable. I want you to see this. Here we go. So this is asever.com, and this is that similar web. It's the website. And you can see the data I was able to find at the time of this recording, which is Wednesday, January 7th, almost 8 p.m. my time. So here we go. They are estimating for December 245,000, we'll say for sake of argument, 246,000 total visits to her website. Again, I want you to think about that in the numbers that she's spewing and saying. And I want you to think about that. That is with her Netflix show. That is with her Netflix show coming out in December. Remember, she had a holiday special. So you'd think that the clicks would be higher than they're showing that it's actually down. And I want you to think about this. She is supposed to have 4 million Instagram followers. We're just supposed to believe that. We're also supposed to believe that business is so good and they're doing so well. She sold almost 1 million jars of jam. Okay. Why would the staff be turning over the way that it is? Why would Meghan and Harry go out there and say, you can have dinner with us for $100,000? Because if she's selling 1 million jars of her jam, I'm calling it jam, it's spread. Sorry, you can't even call it jam. She's selling 1 million jars of just her spread, according to her. They wouldn't need to do that. In fact, she wouldn't have time to do that. It would cost her money to do that because she would be focused on the jam. Now look at this. They are showing that the average visit duration for her website, 1 minute and 13 seconds. 1 minute and 13 seconds is what people spent on there with a bounce rate. Again, reminder, bounce rate means you bounce in, you look, you're like, what the hell is this? You bounce back out. You're not clicking more stuff. You're not helping them in any way. You're not even clicking on more than the main page. Almost 40% of people did that. So we're supposed to believe that she sold 1 million jars of spread, according to, again, these sources and stuff, based on these numbers. When I did a Google search, I wanted to know what's a realistic conversion rate for people. What I mean is, what percentage of people that click on a website like this actually buy something? What is your conversion rate? So according to Google, you can see it there. This is not anybody being biased towards this. Is just facts. The average, the realistic conversion rate is between 1% and 4%. Now, they specifically say 4% is huge to have a conversion rate of that, meaning 4% of people clicking through are actually buying products. They point out that on like these websites like Shopify, if you're 4%, you're the top. Overall average seems to be between 2 and 4%. So that's where I'm getting these numbers from when I pull this graph. So I want to show you my graph. Look. So in order for Meghan to have sold 1 million jars of whatever, okay, assuming that 2 to 4% conversion rate, she would have to have somewhere between, depending on if you want to go 2 or 4%, 25 million to 71 million monthly visitors. They would have to spend an average of more than 5 minutes on her website. Again, the average seems to be about 1:47 with December, where I just pulled, what was it, a minute? What did I just say? Sorry, I've got it here. Hold on. It was 1:13. So I want you to think about that. Her numbers make no sense. They'd have to spend over 5 minutes on average. Pages per visit. Okay, they're estimating, again, this is according to the Reddit thing, that her current metrics, the average is 85% only visit the webpage, the homepage, and then they bounce out. In order to meet the million number that somebody's pulling out of there, you know what? They'd have to visit more than 3 pages per visit. So I want you to think about this and understand why she's so full of it and why her numbers make no sense and these interviews make no sense. And we already know this, but I want you to be able to see it. So that way you can know and we can know that she's lying through her teeth again. I'll have to say a big fat allegedly, but it sure appears, unless she has some magic funnel or magic wand, that her math isn't mathing again. And so the numbers for her website, again, we just saw it's like 200 to 300,000 a month is what the website seems to be averaging to have a 4% conversion rate. And that's on the high end. She'd have to have 25 million visitors a month to do that. Now, again, I'd like to remind you, she's at 200,000 views per month on average, between 2 and 300,000. Goop, I pulled them. Hold on, I'm stalling because I've got their visitors. Let's see here. Goop had it changed, but in May alone of last year, they had 1.14 million visits. They're huge. Goop sells a ton of stuff. We know how popular she is. So Meghan is alleging that she got, 25 times the views of Goop? I don't think so. Again, that makes no sense at all. None. Now, I would also like to point out that I was kind to her with my table because I did include the views from the UK in the views. But think about this. She doesn't even ship outside the US. So it's even a fraction of a fraction of a fraction that would have to buy so many jars to equal that million. It doesn't matter which way you want to Meghan these numbers. The math does not math. I just want you to see how it makes less than no sense and how there's no Meghan speak to make this make any sense. There just isn't. The average visit duration is under 2 minutes. So specifically, it was like 1:47 in November, with as low as 1 minute in earlier data. So if 85% of traffic is landing just on the homepage and bouncing back out, meaning visitors rarely explore products or add to cart or anything like that, that backs up what everybody feels, which is she has very, very low sales and very quick exits. I know I for sure, and I feel like I can speak for all of your favorite YouTubers, not that I'm that, but you know what I mean? Like all the Megxiters that you watch, we have all clicked her site. We have used it to show you things to click on. You yourself have probably been to her site and looked at it. That's where those numbers are coming from. It's not buyers. It's not big buyers. It just can't, no matter how you spin this, she can't make this make any sense whatsoever. From what I could see from the data, the monthly visits for her website peaked at about 343,000. I'm being generous. It was actually 342,900 in July of 2025. That was her highest. So again, to sell the numbers that Meghan is claiming she sold, to reach that 1 million, to have that sold, she would have to have an average of about minimum 25 million views to make that make any sense whatsoever. There is just no way. For a celebrity brand with 4 million followers, this is so much below her competitors like Goop, which averages, it looks like about 1.14 million visits in a month. So this is branded as crushingly pathetic, honestly. I want you to think about this. User behavior, 62% of it is US traffic. 19% is UK. Since they don't ship to the UK, that's just wasted traffic in her, you know what I mean? I want you to look at this too, because this completely fascinated me. Look, hold on. Here, look at this. Websites, that refer to people to asever.com. Can you see what the number one website that the traffic came from? People Magazine. 57% came from People Magazine. Look at that. That is as of the month of December, but you get the idea. People Magazine, 57%. The next closest was Good Housekeeping with 9%. And then you can go from there. But People Magazine. So that is them running these puff pieces on Meghan, including a link, and people clicking from there. That's how she's getting a lot of referrals. So we wonder why she's allegedly throwing all this money at People Magazine. That's why. To just have some traffic on her website. That's what it appears to me anyway, if I'm understanding this correctly. I don't pretend to be a business expert, but I do have a degree in public relations and a background in business, and I've dealt with things like this before, but I've never seen a discrepancy like this. I understand the game more than anybody. I understand how PR works. I understand spin. I understand all of it. But there is no way to spin this. There is no PR company in the world that you could hire that could sell this as successful as Meghan is trying to sell this as. It just doesn't make any sense. If so, then think about this, because it's all I can think about. When she was on her podcast, she talked to, was it Ermiger? I can't remember. She talked to, I listen to all those episodes. She talked about possibility of selling her business. You're telling me if she's selling 1 million jars this quick out of the gate, and she has 25 million people on her website, she clearly doesn't, but go with me on this delusional dream that she's trying to sell us on. I'm losing my voice from hollering. But anyway, you're telling me that she doesn't have a line of people trying to buy her website, or that she wouldn't have already sold it, or that she would be like, wow, I'm sitting on a gold mine. We're pumping out products left and right. I don't have time to do anything. I'm pumping out my products. That's why none of this makes any sense. None whatsoever. So I did some more Googling just to see, and the average e-commerce site aims for people to be on their website between 3 to 5 minutes, with 3+ pages per visit for conversions. As Ever's 1 minute and 47-second average and 85% homepage only scream window shopping or hate clicks from critics and media, not buyers. That high bounce, 30%, means most are leaving without interacting. Classic sign of unappealing content or products. Again, I want you to think about the reviews you've seen on her stuff. I want you to think about the fact that she couldn't even call it jam. I'm focused on the jam. I'm sorry. I know she sells more products than that, but she's pushing this jam narrative, so I'm talking jam. We've seen the consistency. We've seen the horrible reviews of it. We've seen the wickless candles, things like that. So There is just no way you will convince me that these numbers are even in the stratosphere of what's really, really going on. If you remember correctly, she wasted the main buzz. I would say the main buzz she had was on the Netflix show itself, the first round of it. That's when she should have struck when the iron was hot. She didn't. The products were not ready to go then. So, what are we doing? So, you're telling me again in this even shorter amount of time than I gave her way too much credit. I counted for a year, but it's actually been a lot less. So in that time, she'd have to have even more visits, even more people buying, even less of a bounce rate. You just can't make this make any sense at all. It doesn't look like there was any kind of sales spikes. It seemed to be even on launch days, or even remember Oprah endorsed this thing. It was in November of 2025. She saw just a slight bump, but it immediately seems, according to this data, to have faded. So if products were flying off the shelves, you'd see surges. Instead, just steady decline. They signal fading hype. She wasted the international buzz. I don't believe it either that people are actually buzzing. But again, if you go by these numbers and say, look, there were some people in the UK and some people in Canada, they can't even buy them. So inflating visits without any sales, this mismatches Meghan's global expansion and these teases that she's done, proving that she has such poor planning on all of it. She seems to have these weird traffic sources. I do not go political here, and I am not going to go political here. I just want to present the facts to you. There seems to be a political group. I'm not familiar with it. I don't want to talk about it, but I'm just telling you, a political group called Act Blue. It seems to be Democratic backed, and it sent 150 visits via display ads. Why would a political group get involved in jam? So there are speculations of bots and clicks. I don't want to talk politics, but I think it's worth noting. They think that the People magazine and stuff was the biggest referral there, but it shows reliance on her publicity pushes, these articles, instead of the stock itself. Think about all the early issues she had without growth. There seem to be these holiday promotions, but if these numbers are right, it doesn't follow that. It doesn't seem like those were successful whatsoever. She's clapping back with these fake sales figures. So if she had ordered 1 million jars and 1 million jams, what she's claiming she only had 130,000 left. So that's how she's framing this massive success in this international prep. But no, I don't believe it. It's anonymous sources that are putting this out, not any kind of verifiable data. And she since hid the website. She wants us to think like that. But again, most people are smarter than to just believe her at her word, because she's been proven time and time again to lie. I feel so strongly about this. I wanted you to see it. I wanted you to understand it the way I understand it. And please chime in the comments. Please let me know your thoughts on all of this. Share this video. Let everybody know. I want them to see my graph, my chart. I want them to understand why she's full of crap and why we can't believe anything she says ever. But I think it's interesting that thou dost protest too much. Yeah. Have you ever seen anything like this before? I haven't. Instead of spending all this money on this PR push, why not actually, I don't know, and spend some money to make your products better, or to actually make it where you could ship internationally? I think my opinion is she knows it's dead in the water. So instead of fixing it or even trying to fix it, she's just going to go for this push of trying to be positive in PR. And then she's going to chalk it up to everybody pushed her to fail. I don't know. It'll be anybody else's fault but her own. So that's going to do it for me. I feel a lot. I'm dying to know your thoughts on this one. Please let me know in the comments below if what your thoughts are, if I've missed anything else you want to talk about with this, because I just think this is too important to just let it go. So please hype this video, share it, tell everybody about it, post about it, let them know to come watch this one so you can clearly see why I think her sales figures are just completely fabricated. It's just my opinion, but it feels fabricated if you ask me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Do let me know your thoughts in the comments. And I can't wait to bring you more stuff like this. Thank you so much to my behind the scenes team for helping me figure this stuff out and for helping me as I yelled into the void with this one about it's just crazy. I was trying to figure out how to make a chart and a graph to explain my thinking of this and my research in this, and I feel like this is the best one I could come up with. Hopefully it makes sense. Again, I gave her way more credit than she deserves. I gave her a higher conversion rate. I gave her a smaller bounce rate, and still the numbers make no sense. You cannot have numbers like, she wouldn't have numbers like this. You just wouldn't. You wouldn't. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to let this go. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please chime in the comments. Please share this one. Thank you. Have the best day. Take care. I got to stop yelling. All right. Bye-bye. Oh, gosh. Okay. I'm here. I'm yelling a lot. I'm going to lose my voice. I might have to go to shorts here. So if I miss a day or two and just post shorts, that's why, because I'm yelling. But I just had to get this out here. I feel too strongly about this. She is working overtime to try to lie. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say, like, lie, in my opinion, seems to be lying her way out of this one. And it's not going to work. We need people's eyeballs on this. The mainstream media, like Newsweek, is just, in my opinion, seems to be this pay for play. They're not actually reporting on this stuff. But if I break it down and show it as easy as I know how, then maybe people can see clearly how full of crap she is. It's like the Oprah interview all over again, where people were dissecting all the easily verifiable lies. Here you go. There's that. Let me know if you think I'm wrong. Thank you guys for watching. Please do share this one, hype it, do all the things. I love you all so much. If I disappear for a day or two again, it's because I'm losing my voice. I'm still getting over the flu, but I just felt like this is too important not to share. I'm going to make shorts out of it. Watch the shorts, share the shorts as well. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you guys for being here. Have the best day. Take care. Bye-bye. I actually turned red from this one because of the yelling. I'm like, no, this makes no sense. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye. Share my chart. I'm proud of this chart. I did good.